This is hereby given of the meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield and the County of Union, New Jersey, on the evening of Tuesday, January 20, 2015, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey. The meeting shall begin at 7:30, and at approximately 7:45, the meeting will move to the second floor conference room at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, to conduct a board workshop. So that's an approximate time. Whenever we're ready to move, we will move. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Friday, January 16, 2015, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, the Town Clerk of Westfield, the Alternative Press, and Patch.com. A meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of the meeting. Dana, could we do a roll call?
Rich Matesic.
Here.
Lucy Biegler. Mark Friedman.
Here.
Brendan Galligan.
Here.
Chris Langhart.
Here.
Ginny Lights.
Yes, here.
Gretchen Olig.
Here.
Peggy Oster.
Here.
Mitch Slater.
Yes, here.
All right. You join me in the flag salute.
Yeah, this one.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move to announcements. Peggy, anything down your end?
I do. I have an announcement from Lincoln School. The Westfield Public School District is now accepting applications for the integrated preschool program for the 2015-16 school year. Deadline for applications is February 26th. The program uses the creative curriculum for preschool and is comprised of general education students and students who have been found eligible for special education. General education students will be selected for this program by lottery. Preschool classes will meet Monday through Friday from 8:45 to 11:15 for 3-year-old morning session and from 12:30 to 3 p.m. for the 4-year-old afternoon session. Applicants must be residents of Westfield and 3 or 4 years of age before October 1st, 2015. Applications for the lottery are available on the Lincoln School website under the Parents tab within the new student registration section. During school hours, applications may be obtained in person at Lincoln School, the Office of Special Education Services, and the main office of any of the elementary schools in Westfield. All applications must be returned to Lincoln School no later than 2 p.m. on February 26, 2015. The lottery drawing will be held at Lincoln School, 728 Westfield Avenue, on February 26, 2015, at 3 p.m. All applicants will be notified of their acceptance status by phone or email. For more information, please call Lincoln School at 908-789-4455.
Thank you. Brendan?
Yes, I have a quick announcement from the high school. Westfield High School invites the public to attend a night of love songs, which will be performed by the Westfield High School Chorale on Friday, February 6th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium.
This is a message about school closing. All Westfield public schools will be closed on Friday, February 13th and Monday, February 16th for President's Weekend. There'll be a staff in-service held on Friday, February 13th.
You guys? Oh, I'm sorry, Chris?
Yeah, this is for the robotics team. Congratulations to the Westfield High School robotics teams for advancing to both the New Jersey and Pennsylvania state championships. Coached by Valentino Scipione and Susan Marie Terra, the teams are advancing as a result of qualifying in multiple tournaments, competing against 33 teams from 4 states in the Eastern Pennsylvania Regional Qualifying Tournament and against 34 teams on December 14th and against 24 teams on January 3rd in New Jersey. We wish our robotics students the best of luck as they prepare for the state competitions.
Okay. So as chair of the technology committee, I'm very excited to read this announcement. This is exactly the kind of things I'm really so proud of that we're doing. So congratulations to Madeline Armstrong and Alex Sestero, sophomores at Westfield High School, who showcased their talents at the school's initiative at the annual EdTech Conference hosted by the New Jersey Educational Computing Cooperative on January 7th at Montclair State University, a consortium for K-12 educational technology. They invited the students along with instructional technologist Adam Peasy to highlight Westfield High School's Digital Learning Center, which opened its doors in the fall of 2014. Modeled somewhat like a Genius Bar, the Digital Learning Center serves as a training hub, professional development center for both teachers and students, where students called digital ambassadors provide assistance during scheduled times in a dedicated computer lab at Westfield High School. They also run a website, a Twitter feed, and publish and share best practices in digital teaching and learning. At the conference, attended by approximately 600 technology educators, the digital ambassadors were approached at their booth where they displayed several projects that they helped create. They also attended breakout sessions, heard the keynote address, and had the opportunity to conduct podcast interviews with some of the teachers in attendance. And I'll just add that they've also been contacted by many other districts in the state for what we're up to. And it's really, really exciting. And special thanks again to Adam Peasy for putting all this together. This is really the beginning of some really exciting stuff going on.
And not to be outdone, as chairman of the Long Range Planning Committee, I'd like to read an announcement regarding our parent community survey. In early February, the Long Range Planning Committee of the board will launch its 2015 Parent Community Survey. Responses to the survey will serve as an important foundation as we begin our new strategic plan for the district. Look for more information in our PTO newsletters, in the media, and on our website in the next few weeks.
Anything?
No.
All right. With that, I would recognize the public for agenda items only at this time. Seeing, yeah, agenda items?
Is the 2 Park on the agenda or not?
No, it's not on the agenda. There's opportunity at the back of the meeting to talk about Park.
Oh, there's no way we can talk beforehand.
It's not a long meeting. Yeah, it's actually a really short meeting. If it were long, I'd let you do it now, but it's very short.
Thank you.
Yep. I'd ask the board to approve the minutes of the board meeting held on January 6, 2015, and the board workshop held on January 10, 2015, and private minutes of January 6, 2015. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Personnel, Mark.
I'd like the board to consider personnel items 1 through 23. Second. Ginny, thank you. Dr. Dolan, 2 retirements?
Yes, we do have 2 retirements. And in fact, they're 2 retirements, both from Edison School. And together, these 2 employees have given more than 34 years of service to the district's middle school students. Meg Maffey began her work as a middle school math teacher at Roosevelt and then moved to Edison, where she has assisted students for more than a decade. Meg is caring and enthusiastic, who can be counted on to organize faculty events as well as support her students. A proud mother of 2 Westfield graduates, she really does not mention that, by the way. A proud mother of 2 Westfield graduates, Meg looks forward to spending more time with those graduates and with the rest of the family. Joanne Saladino has spent the last 21 years as a special education teacher, helping students deepen their language arts skills. She has worked well with colleagues, partnering with them as an in-class support teacher, and has been equally effective as a resource room teacher. She is proud of the accomplishments of her students and applauds them for their persistence and their willingness to work hard. We wish them both well in their retirement.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Dana, please.
Rich Matesic?
Yes.
Mark Friedman?
Yes.
Brendan Galligan?
Yes.
Chris Langhart?
Yes.
Ginny Lights?
Yes.
Gretchen Olig?
Yes, I abstained from number 16.
Peggy Oster?
Yes.
Mitch Slater?
Yes.
That's it.
All right, policies, Gretchen.
I would like to ask the board to affirm the superintendent's decision on HIB incidents 15 EO2, 15 EO3, 15 RO1, and 15 RO2 for the reasons set forth therein. Can I have a second? Ginny? Dana?
Rich Matesic?
Yes.
Mark Friedman?
Yes.
Brendan Galligan?
Yes.
Chris Langhart?
Yes.
Ginny Lights?
Yes.
Gretchen Olig?
Yes.
Peggy Oster?
Yes.
Mitch Slater?
Yes.
Curriculum, instruction, or programs, Gretchen.
I'd like to ask the board to consider curriculum, agenda item number 1 to approve the district field trips. Can I have a second, please? Jenny? Anybody have any questions on attachment number 7 to the agenda? Dana?
Rich Matesic?
Yes.
Mark Friedman?
Yes.
Brendan Galligan?
Yes.
Chris Langhart?
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask the board to consider curriculum item number 2, to approve the curricula listed there. Can I have a second? Mitch, thank you. I sent curriculum committee notes around to the full board. I'm sorry I was a little late in the game, but I sent them around yesterday. The curriculum committee had a meeting last Thursday, and all of these curricula were presented very enthusiastically by our staff members. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions about any of them. If not, for the sake of time.
I thought your notes were good. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Dana?
Rich Matesic,
Yes.
Mark Friedman,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Chris Langhart,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
Finance, Mark.
I'd like the board to consider finance items 1 to 11.
Second.
Brendan, thank you. Just a call out, we'd like to accept a gift of $200 from Mr. Ron Rothschild to the Tamaqua School, so thank you very much for that. Any other questions or comments? Dana, please.
Rich Matesic,
Yes.
Mark Friedman,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Chris Langhart,
Yes.
Ginny Lights,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Mitch Slater.
Yes.
All right, with that, I'd ask the board to note the notes for the record, and then move to recognize the public for questions and/or comments. Thank you for waiting. If you'd like to start. Go first. Oh, sure, if you just come to the podium, please state your name and address.
Short. I can't find it. Hi, my name is Anastasia Harrison. I live at 1011 Minnesink Way in Westfield. I have 3 girls in the school system, 1 in 5th grade at Franklin, 2 at the high school. I've never been overly excited about my girls taking standardized tests every year, but understand it's necessary as part of their placement and course correction. After all, how do we know if our children understand the curriculum that are being given to them without tests? They have quizzes, chapter tests, midterms, and finals. And having 2 high schoolers, I know the pressures as they're starting to mount for midterms next month. And yet, with all this testing, it is not sufficient assessment for the readiness for college and careers for the future. I question that. They earn grades such as A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. So why not give them another 5-day-long test to ensure that they are ready for college? Westfield ranks as one of the highest school systems in the country and top 10% out of the 398 schools in New Jersey. I attribute this success to our teachers, our school board, and Dr. Dolan and all of her staff. But as we move into a federally mandated Common Core curriculum, I question if we are lowering our standards. After all, it is not our type of school district that this curriculum will benefit. Stanford University professor James Milgran, the only mathematician on the validation panel, concluded that the Common Core math scheme would place American students 2 years behind the peers in other high-achieving countries. In protest, Mr. Milgran refused to sign off on the standards, and he's not alone. Professor Jonathan Goodman of NYU found the Common Core math standards impose significantly lower expectations and respect to algebra and geometry than published standards in other countries. I am not an elitist. I am not a socialist. I'm not a Democrat, nor a Republican. I'm a mom of 3 girls, and I want them to have the best education possible. I live here, and I moved here for the education system that Westfield has, and my taxes are indicative of that. It is the responsibility of the Education Commissioner Hespy to do what his boss says, Governor Christie, who is following the money from other organizations that are feeding Common Core. It is your job, Dr. Dolan, to follow what your bosses say, Mr. Hespy, Mr. Bedron, all who have mandated that this new curriculum and testing be followed. I want to thank you for preparing our district with technology, training, readiness of our teachers this past summer, and ensuring that the kids are prepared. But today I am speaking to the board of directors that are all sitting here. It is my opinion that these tests do not have any real value in the terms of assessment for our children as they may have in the past years. There are plenty of blogs and testimony from individuals that are educators that make this claim valid. I come here tonight as a mom to urge you to read the information that will be presented to you by others and from the residents of Westfield to put together a plan on how we're going to deal with opposition. I have taken the Parcc sample tests. Has anyone here also taken a Parcc sample test?
Yes.
Okay. As board members, I suggest you log on and take a simple one, 3rd or 4th grade. I took one myself and was appalled at how long it physically took me to answer a 10-second question. It was a 10-second answer. I knew it immediately. Yet it took me nearly 3 minutes to click all the little boxes. There is an inherent problem in the way that this test is being designed and delivered to our children. I'm refusing the Parcc tests in March for all 3 of my girls, but I fear that retribution may be placed on them. The Westfield School Board has no policy for such cases, and in doing so is ignoring what the commissioner has stated. I have been warned that if more than 5% of our students refuse this test, funding of more than $6 million will be cut from the budget. This, I have reason to believe, is untrue, unjust, and just politically bullying tactics. Furthermore, I bet that if we add up all of the extras it cost our district to prepare the administrators for this test, we would have more than half of that in savings. Please use your own minds and not let Trenton or Washington scare us into acting like sheep. Let's discuss the pros and cons and see how to make our curriculum at Westfield even better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz Mulholland, 1029 Harding Street. I just wanted to start this with a little levity. There was a saying that came across my Facebook page the other day, and it said, what was the saying? A concerned parent is a better investigator than the FBI. So I just want to start with that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good evening, Dr. Dolan and school board members. Thank you for your service to the students and taxpayers of Westfield. I'm here this evening to update you on some information regarding Parcc and standardized testing. As a parent, former educator, organizer of Save Our Schools, and a frequent attendee of State Board of Ed, Senate, and Assembly hearings and meetings, I thought I would share with you some interesting details regarding standardized testing, and more specifically, Parcc testing. As I'm sure you are aware, there were more than 100 attendees at the recent board meeting. President Beardron concluded his portion of the meeting with an open discussion. This is very rare, because normally they don't do a back and forth. And the parents were demanding answers as to what their rights are for refusing tests, because a lot of schools have said you cannot refuse the test. And so the parents were saying, you need to be clear on this. And his response was, we all know nobody can force your child to put their hands on a keyboard. Commissioner Hespy was then further asked to respond regarding this issue. And his response was, every district should apply its own policies. If a student comes in and is disruptive, you should have a discipline policy for that. If they're not disruptive, you should have a policy for what to do with that child. We should not automatically assume that coming to school and not wanting to take a test is a disciplinary problem. Since then, New Jersey 101.5 conducted multi-day discussions on Parcc and included interviews with Governor Christie, Hespy, and spokesmen from the Department of Education. Stated multiple times by New Jersey Department of Education officials, and as recently as this morning, by Hespy himself, he quote, for a variety of reasons, some students have refused to participate in testing, he said. Pardon me. I tried to do double side safety. Rarely do we see disciplinary measures taken against a student. Quote, and this is important, we won't force a student to take a test. I bring this to your attention because I'm fully aware of the Commissioner's prior letter to the superintendents stating in part, regulations require all students to take state assessments. Since the Parcc assessment is part of the state-required educational program, schools are not required to provide an alternate education program for those who do not participate in statewide assessment. He wrote, we encourage chief school administrators to review the district's discipline and attendance policy to ensure that they address situations that may arise during days that statewide assessments such as Parcc are being administered. Now, even with all the recent publicly noted document and clear directives made publicly, I'm aware that many districts are still utilizing HESP's original Parcc information dated October 2014 to direct their policy and memorandums to parents. Please be aware that HESP's memo, while seemingly indicating there is no choice regarding students taking tests, he uses the term opt out. More specifically, he does not use the term refuse. It is a parent's right to refuse. He has acknowledged this. The board president of the New Jersey Department of Education has acknowledged this right as well. This paragraph, HESP and the president of the New Jersey Board of Ed negates such claim. To be clear, while technically schools are not required to provide an alternate education program, meaning a class lesson, they are required to supervise any child who attends school. While students may not opt out, parents may refuse to allow their child to be tested. And once again, HESP and President Beardron have also provided public commentary on such rights and have clearly stated that children cannot be forced to take Parcc exams and that districts must decide what should be done with said students. Now, what seems to be happening is that the Commissioner of Education, the New Jersey Department of Education, or the New Jersey School Board Association have clearly, in writing, informed superintendents or school boards about such public discussions regarding refusal and administration board policy responsibilities. Rest assured, though, that the state has covered its back. With these public announcements and testimonies, they have on multiple occasions pointed the finger at you, at our local school boards and districts, as the sole responsibility for any confusion arising from parental rights, scheduling, or lack of information about Parcc. At the September 7th meeting, just as an aside, when parents were demanding that the State Board of Education provide direction to the superintendents and the school boards, President Beardron actually said, "That's not my job. They need to know this." And we kept saying, they don't have any information except what the state sends them. So you need to be clearer. As far as they're concerned, and they made this clear, your problem is not with the state, it's with your local districts. So a lot of boards are going to be seeing this kind of conversation happening now. And as you have seen on 101.5, if any of you have been listening, it's been it's 4 days now. Nationwide, many organizations have spent countless hours researching standard testing, Parcc, Smarter Balance, and parental rights of refusal. Here are some facts. Parents have the right to refuse testing for their children. This has been upheld by the Supreme Court and based on the 14th Amendment. Another fact, districts may not force students to stay home during testing. Specifically, our district, now this is important, our district has no direct policy for student refusal. Thus, the directive that students must stay home was not approved by the board and therefore cannot be upheld. District policy is to provide education from 8:40 to 3:05. Grade dependent, of course, middle schools and high schools, different grades. Districts must provide a free and appropriate education to all children. Disciplining and suspending a student from education for exercising their right to refuse testing would be unconscionable, and as HESP has pointed out, it is extremely rare for districts to do so. Furthermore, such action may be construed as discriminatory towards working parents. Local school boards determine policy regarding alternate placement for non-testing students. Local school boards approve district policy. If the district is to create a policy for test refusal, it must be adopted and approved by the school board. Non-testing students may not be in the testing environment. According to Parcc administration guidelines, non-testing students may not enter the testing environment. When asked for clarification regarding students who refuse testing, Parcc clearly stated that student refusal will be considered a non-testing student. I am so sorry for going on. This is just I'm trying to cram a lot of information in a very short period of time. As a frequent attendee of State Board of Education meetings, state hearings, and assembly hearings, I hear a lot of doublespeak, and I see many reversals of policy that was found to be in opposition of proper legal standing. While such policies may be altered, I'm not too certain clear written information regarding alterations is communicated widely to those who rely on prior policy notifications. I can only imagine how your heads must spin year after year, and especially over the past 5 or 10 years, it has to be astounding. I wanted to update you on this issue so you would be fully prepared should you come across parents who refuse to have their child tested. And I'd also like to address 2 misnomers. There's a ton here. I'm going to give you a copy because there's just pages of this. One is about the 19 states participating in Parcc. Originally 23, I believe it was, participating in Parcc. It is now down to 9 states. And actually, of those 9 states, in Illinois, the participating state, one of the participating states, Chicago, its largest district, signed a resolution refusing to implement Parcc. So we're not even going to be able to use the information from Illinois as a comparative. There's also no back-out clause for refusal to take Parcc tied to Title I funding. That's important to note. No state or district has lost aid. Regarding public directives and directives by the state, Bloomfield and Dale Rand have adopted policies for students who refuse Parcc. These policies can easily be found online. I would like to point out another thing that you, I'm sure, especially in the district, have heard time and time again, and that is that Title I funds, the 95% participation rate, all of that, that is based on No Child Left Behind. The state of New Jersey has a waiver from No Child Left Behind, and therefore that 95% is not applicable to the current agreement that the state made with the federal government. Under the new waiver, only schools designated priority or focus schools face direct intervention for missing state targets. Okay? These schools can have a maximum of 30% of its Title I funding redirected from the New Jersey Department of Education for specific interventions. But even these funds are supposed to be used for school improvement, not taken away. This is not tied to participation rates on tests. And that's very specific. And if you look at his guidelines, you will see the links he provides. Nowhere in it does it have the 95. He uses it and says No Child Left Behind, but it is not relevant to his new agreement. Again, that goes along with the parents, the FBI investigation thing. In conclusion, as publicly stated by the Commissioner of Education, the President of the New Jersey Board of Ed, and the spokesperson of the state of New Jersey, it is the responsibility of this board to provide a policy for students who have the rights to refuse testing. I ask that you create a humane policy that supports our students' rights to a free and appropriate education and their right to refuse testing. Thank you for your time and your professional consideration of this request. Liz Mahalan.
Liz,
Thank you so much
Can I ask
for
you
your
one quick
patience.
question?
Sure.
So thank you for all that, it was very helpful. Have you, a theme, and also Anastasia's comments, was the fear of, the thought that there could be retribution or disciplinary action if your kids opt out? Has anybody in the district actually said that to you? So I can tell you
to
as
me? No.
I can tell you as a board member, we've
No.
never suggested that would be the case. I've never heard it from the administration.
No.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
I just want you guys to be protected and to know that there's doublespeak going on here.
No, I
And
know.
they're pointing the fingers at you.
I
And so
understand.
I want to make that clear, that we
Right.
are, parents are allowed to refuse. And they can come to school. You don't have to provide them a language arts lesson, but they have a right to go to attend school.
And actually, to that major point, I think, so as a public school district, we do get notification from the commissioner generally or someone in the Department of Education. And since this is a state mandated test, they're the ones who give us the rules for the state mandated test. And as you can imagine, since it's a new test and it's the first time where a test is going to be online, which you can imagine the ramifications of that. It's completely different than what we've done. So to say there's been a lot of communication regarding this test would be a great understatement. So there are reams of emails and broadcasts, and we've attended webinars, and we've been attending meetings over 2 years. And we tend, in Westfield, to be really careful about following rules. We find it's a better thing to do in life, really, if someone tells you that. So we are following what the state said. So the last thing we do have in writing from the commissioner is what we do have in the letter that was posted and being sent to parents. But earlier today, because I had received a copy of some questions and concerns that parents had raised, I sent both the paragraph in our letter that talks about opt-out and some questions raised by a parent in the district, and sent it to the Department of Ed and said, we're trying to follow what's right. I am not, during the course of the day, I'm not listening to the radio, honestly. So I don't know what was announced there, and that's not a way to tell schools what to do, which I know you agree. Same point. So what I asked for was clarification, and we will follow what we are told we are supposed to do, because there shouldn't be doublespeak. I absolutely agree with you. There should be whatever the requirements are, that's what we'll do. And then to just second what Mr. Matesic said, I think we have a good record of treating students appropriately, and we'll continue to do that. We'll work within what the guidelines are from the state, no doubt, but we also know that our job is working with students, and we're not going to do something that takes something out on students. We would not do that. So, and we'll continue to work and find out what it is the state is requiring, and we'll make changes and we'll notify parents as that happens. So I did send that out earlier today. I was hoping for a response before the meeting. I haven't gotten that, but I'll continue to ask in different ways so we get it clarified.
Is there any chance that you, oh, I have to prepare to ask. So is there any talk or further consideration that you can add this conversation to your agenda items as a board to discuss if we should? I understand you're following the rules from the state, but there does seem to be some haphazard bits and pieces going on. So can you consider this a board agenda item that you can discuss further?
I'm sure the board has been receiving information about Parcc in general, and they'll continue to, because this is a major change for us. So I'm sure it can be, and this specific topic about it can certainly continue to be spoken about. The issue of opt-out versus refusal, sure, we can look into that just a little bit more. It's really interesting from a school perspective. This is a little off topic, but not really. Really, I think it's important. So since No Child Left Behind, we have been required to test each and every student. Each and every student. I mean that literally. Any student who is taught at all by the standards, the former standards or the current ones, we're required to give them a test. So that does mean every child who is classified. The entire range of classification, every child. So there could be a student where the teachers know and principal knows that the student has a significant disability and is, let's just say, 3 years below grade level because of the disability. And they're working really hard. But since the year about 2000, those students have to take a test at the grade level that they are by age, not at the grade level where they're working. Now, have we asked that that be changed? Oh, yes, in 110 ways and regularly. Parents have asked, principals have asked, I have asked, Dr. Weissman has asked, and it's not changed. That's the requirement. Every student who's learning English, who's just new to the country, every student takes the test, or is at least given the test. Sometimes if they can't make sense of any of the English words, they don't have it in front of them too long, but we're required to provide that to them. So this question of opt-out and refusal, it has not been allowed. Those students who are classified have taken the test. The students who are learning English have been given the test and take as much as they can. So this topic here is different again, and maybe that's why, I don't know, why there's confusion, and that's why we're trying to get clarification on that.
Dr. Don, can I just say one thing? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
come on up.
I'm really sorry. I just want to clarify. Also, and I didn't put this in there. It was stated by Hesby, and you can check that link. I've provided a million links in here, so you can verify everything I've said. Dr. Hesby, Commissioner Hesby did make it very clear, and I'm sure that this district also has had parents who have refused the test in the past. And he's made it very clear that from the inception of testing, there has always been parents who refuse tests. So the state has acknowledged that the state has always allowed parents to refuse tests. So I just want to, that was very clearly stated by him in that letter. So I just want to make that clear. Again, they're not telling you this, but he stated clearly, this is nothing new. Parents have refused the test for years. So I just want to make that clear.
I don't believe that's our experience, but I understand he said that, and I read that also.
Right. You read it. Yeah.
I did read that.
So you know.
Please come up to the podium.
Prepared remarks that come up?
No, just any remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. About that much. Okay. My name is Jessica Morano, and I live at 822 Harding Street, and I teach with Robin Zanoni, his sister-in-law, and so I'm very excited. But the whole connection.
Finally.
I will tell her.
Yes, and she's spoken so highly, and I voted for you, and I just wanted to know. But so I have a unique perspective. I've taught for 16 years. I've taught 4th grade. And I've seen the ESPA, I've seen the NJ Ask, and now the Parcc. And it's been really difficult because as much information as you're getting, we're not. We've had to figure out a lot on our own because amidst all of this, it's been changing in the classroom with our evaluation systems and everything. So we've had all this training about how we're going to be evaluated for so long, and very little training about how we're going to test the children. So we're finally coming down to the wire, and I'm finding, oh, wow, okay, so this is what the test looks like, and everything is subject to change. And in my opinion, nothing is developmentally appropriate. And I have a 3rd grader, and I have a 1st grader. And I'm going to let my daughter go the first day because she's bright, and because she's secure, and because I want to see, it's my own experiment, how is Claire going to do? But if Claire comes home and she's a wreck, as a parent, I know that this test is, in my opinion, totally invalid. It's not testing the standards at a developmentally appropriate level. And I think that that's what we need to understand. And we're going to see something this year that I think we've never seen before. It's not like the NJ Ask. It's not like the ESPA. I can tell you that when you take a practice test, you can be sitting next to another teacher taking the test, and you both enter the same answer, and one of you gets marked wrong. This happened in Milburn today. Okay? They both entered 30, and one of them got marked wrong. There are countless issues with the Pearson Success Maker program that we have to make the kids do initial placement. Hours. They say it should be 2 hours total that the children are doing the initial placement. No. Some kids, it's taken 4 hours for them to be initially placed. And then it logs them off. It freezes. The screen is not formatted properly, and you have to go back in, and you're constantly dealing with glitches. I have 21 students. I'm running around the room. I'm trying to help all of them. At times, they get frustrated because they so badly want to do well for me. I have a passion for teaching. I love what I do, and I hate doing this to them. And I'm giving you a window into what can happen when these kids fall apart, and they might, because it's totally unfair. And I can't imagine that our whole district is going to be taking this test at the same time. And it's a week in March for kids for the performance-based assessment, and then it's an end-of-the-year assessment in April and May. And who knows how long it's going to take if they don't finish the test and if there's glitches. So I think we need to be prepared for what's going to happen. I just want to give you a window into that. And I want to thank you. I moved here 7 years ago, and I have so much respect for our school system, and I'm so happy to be here as a parent. And just thank you for giving me the opportunity.
So just, I'm not sure I'm going to tackle all of them, but so we really have been grappling with this a lot because we knew it was a seismic shift. We knew it was just so different, and all the administrators and also the teachers in this district, I think, can tell you how we've been trying to grapple with it on so many different levels. We were very, last year, we really reached out to say we want to do this field testing because we want to learn, right? Now the field test is not exactly what the test is going to be, but we were observing the students because you're right. Whether it's a paper test or computer test, if you see a child who's so frustrated that they really are upset, any good teacher is going to see what they need to do. And they may have to stop the test if a student is that upset. Happens rarely, but it could happen. Could happen more with technology or not. I have to tell you, our experience at all 3 levels, elementary, intermediate, and high school with the field test was much better than we had thought. We were really panicked about it, both with just the technology, but also the questions. And you're absolutely right. I've been saying this for 2 years. I've said it at this meeting at least 10 times at these public meetings. I've been saying take the practice test. I was telling parents that, teachers are taking it, have been taking it, administrators have taken it. I took it a long time ago because it is an eye-opener. It absolutely is. So we were frightened by the field test last year because what were our kids going to do? And we asked the kids afterwards, and we got different answers, but we didn't get the real fear that you're thinking about. We didn't have that experience in the field test. We got a mixture of answers, and we didn't have any terrified students. And our good teachers, and our teachers are good, are going to be watching out for that certainly in the testing. The technology, we've spent a great deal of time to try to make sure that technology, at least on our part, is going to work. It did during field testing, and we're continuing to do it. The training for the teachers, an important aspect. You just think of teachers. Teachers have been teaching whatever, 10 years, 14 years, 30 years, and they've been reading. Please turn to page 12. Continue until you see the stop sign, or whatever it is, right? And then they put the time on the board for when they start and stop. And now all of a sudden we're saying, okay, all those students in your class, they're all going to log in. They're all going to listen to you. They're all going to remember their password. They're going to follow the direction. They're going to log in. And all of them are going to click perfectly throughout the test so that they don't get bumped off. No. I mean, we have perfect children, but really unlikely. So the way that the teachers have to administer that is a little different than the field test. So we couldn't train the teachers until we got the regulations, but the handbook for that, which only came out in January. So, for example, our February in-service, the teachers are going to be spending time, how do all of these students log in? What's going to work best at your grade level? What does happen when that student gets bumped off? What are the options there? So we're really trying hard because it's brand new, it's difficult for the adults, but our students are going to take the test, and even if Parcc doesn't last for a long time, we know the future is online testing. So we're trying to make sure our students have a good experience and trying to learn what we need to continue to do better and better. I don't have a prediction as to how successful Parcc will be, but I know we're doing everything possible so the students taking it this year do have an experience that is a positive one, or at least not a negative one, because that's the last thing we would want for any of our students. So we've really been and continue to work hard on it.
Did you get the scores back from the field tests?
No,
So how do you know how they did?
we don't. We were told that beforehand we would not get the scores back. We did it more for the experience so we could watch the students, see how they did with it, what we needed to watch out for, what we needed to do better. We knew ahead of time we were not going to get the scores.
Anyone else? All right, thank you for your comments.
Can I just say something?
Please.
I do want to thank you for your time and for your emails and comments, because they have provoked a lot of conversation among the board members and certainly with the administration. I want you to know that we're hearing you, and your comment that we don't have a policy, I suspect, is because this is all brand new for all of us. And so, I want you to understand that we appreciate it, and we don't, there's no eye rolling or anything. We're trying to digest a lot of information. And this board in particular is really focused on what our role is as, our governance role. And so it's a conversation that will be ongoing. So just thanks for your time and for coming and keeping us, abreast.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, then we're going to move to workshop session upstairs. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes.